Anyone got a pencil? Hello and welcome to the Mixtape podcast. I'm your host, Mark Phillips, and every week I'll be asking my guests to make up a mixtape. I'll ask them for a title and 5 tracks. Track 1, what's your intro? What's your attention grabber? What's going to be the song that's going to pull me in and make me want to listen to the rest of your tape? Track 2, what's a song that you sing loud and proud when you're on your own in the car or the shower? Track 3, I'm going to ask them to get a little bit obscure and pick maybe a B-side or an album track. Track 4, pick a song that you would like to have played to your 18-year-old self. And track 5, pick a song that you would put on your mixtape to let the listener know you're romantically interested. Due to the music being licensed content, you will have to click into the description of the podcast to hear the songs my guests pick on the accompanying Spotify playlist. Don't forget to smash the follow button or the plus sign and you'll be notified every time there's a new episode. Thanks for listening and I hope you enjoy this chat. Hello and welcome to another mixtape. On this week's show, I'm joined by Tom Clark, lead singer from UK band Black Pines. How are you, Tom?
I'm great. How are you?
Great, mate. Tip top, buddy. So how's it been going with the releasing and how's the sort of tracks been released? And talk to me a little bit about how you're sort of putting the tracks out from the EP bodies.
Yeah. So Death Bad obviously came out on the 9th of June. We had a bit of playlist success with that. We've had I think it was breaking new emerging or British breaking acts on Amazon Music. We've had a bit of radio play, and the EP we're sort of waterfall releasing it. So we spent quite a long time just releasing singles. So we'd write a body of work and then release everything, just so that we constantly had stuff coming out. Because I think as emerging bands, as bands that are coming up and trying to break through, I think sometimes if you just drop 6 or 7 songs in one go, they just get lost and the whole thing kind of just slows down. Whereas if you gradually release it, you're constantly releasing, constantly doing content, constantly having a social media campaign running alongside it, and it stretches out the impact that the music can have. So yeah, we're sort of stretching it out until September. So there'll be one song being released every month, and then the whole thing will sort of drop down on all the platforms as an EP.
Right, and you can download that through your Bandcamp page. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or is it SoundCloud or Bandcamp?
SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music, all the DSPs, everywhere really.
And any confirmed gigs between now and sort of the next few weeks?
Yeah, it's a funny one for us at the moment. Obviously, it's summer's always it's difficult to book shows, and it can be hard to a lot of people are on holiday, a lot of people are at festivals, a lot of people are tied up with festivals this time of year. So I think we're looking to do a couple of local shows because we haven't played locally for a while. But yeah, apart from that, there's a few festivals that we're maybe playing, but we're waiting for confirmation on. But so I probably won't say too much about it. But yeah, apart from that, we've been quite quiet on the gig front. But yeah, looking to change that soon. But yeah, as I said, being summer, it's just a bit quiet at the moment. So
yeah, just shout out your Instagram page for all the info on your gigs and releases and everything. Is it black_pines_music on Instagram?
Yeah,
for all the gig details and when each single drops and all that other good stuff. Okay, Tom, let's get into the meat and bones of the podcast. So the mixtape, as you know, I asked you to pick 5 tracks for your imaginary mixtape. I'm going to throw this one at you as well because I don't think I've asked you for this in advance, but I'm looking for a title for your mixtape as well.
Songs that slap.
Songs that slap. Okay. And why did you call your mixtape Songs That Slap? Can you explain that to people?
Because they all slap.
Slap in terms of
you've been away from England for too long. I think you're just a bit street.
Oh, is it? I was never street anyway, Tom. You know me, mate. Okay, Songs That Slap. track one is the intro track, Tom, the one that's going to be the attention grabber and going to make me want to listen
Yeah.
to the rest of your mixtape. So, what track did you go with for track one, mate?
Yeah, so I went with the Rolling People by the Verve. I just think it for a song that will grab your attention immediately. I just think the intro to that song, the drums, the way the drums build, the riff, yeah, just that whole intro. It's a great. It's, it's the sort of song I'd stick on as I got in the car, turned the car on, and started driving somewhere. It sort of cheer me up a bit. So,
Good,
great,
good kick-off
great
track,
track.
classic album as well. And I think that when I listen to that track, it sounds to me more like it would fit on either of the first two albums
Yeah,
comfortably.
yeah,
Do you know what I
it's
mean? It's
it's
got that vibe.
yeah, definitely. It's definitely of that album. You're right. There's a couple of songs on there that could sit on some of their earlier work, like
Mhm.
Weeping Willow as well. Is
Yeah,
it
yeah,
Weeping
yeah,
Willow?
yeah,
That's a great
yeah.
track as well.
Funny story I heard about that album when it came out at the time in 1997 was because obviously the Verve it was their breakthrough album, but obviously as most people know, not their debut album. And
Mm,
there was the NME yearly sort of polls. NME being New Musical Express, which is a music publication that comes out in the UK, and they ran the category for best debut album of 1997, and Urban Hymns by the Verve got like so many thousand votes
mm.
for best debut album because they just sort of come from nowhere and they published it, they put it out and they said if if everybody who voted for the Verve for their best debut album was Urban Hymns doesn't send us 10 quid, we're going to publish all your names and addresses so that all your
Yeah,
mates know. I laughed at that because anyone who knows less than me, I'm a 100% music snob, like, and I will look down at
mm.
people who would consider that their debut album. Do you know what I mean? So that made me laugh. Yeah. So I
It's,
think it was nearly 10,000 or something votes for debut album of the
yeah,
year, and I was like, oh, come on. Do you know
it's
what I mean?
crazy, isn't it? It's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny as well because what I love about the Verve is that, and a lot of people don't realize they were signed to Virgin, but Hut, which
Up
was
records. Yeah. Yeah.
like a
Yeah. Yeah.
it was like a subsidiary of Virgin or Hut,
Mm,
which I think also the Smashing Pumpkins one. So it was like an American label or the
mm,
American side of the label that they were signed to, and they were touring with people like Black Crows,
mm,
in America on Storming Heaven, way back then. So they were around. They were like the last of those sort of bands that were allowed to grow over a few albums before they had major commercial success. Do you
mm.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you don't really see that anymore. You don't see
No,
that at
no.
all
What
with,
record
with
companies want the
bands.
finished article on a plate, don't they, before they even think about signing you? Yeah, cracking album, and yeah, obviously subject of the question that we've spoken about before, the festival headline
Yeah.
clash when you were on before. Yeah, so we won't revisit that because I don't think either of us have covered ourselves in glory there. So
Yeah.
we'll leave
Yeah.
it at that. Okay,
Yeah.
track two, Tom, on your mixtape is a song that you sing loud and proud when you're in the shower or in the car on your own, mate. What did you go with?
I went with Grace by Jeff Buckley.
Of
Obviously,
course.
you obviously know me, know what I like.
Yeah.
One of my favorite artists of all time. But that track in particular, just the way it builds, the way the music builds, the way the vocals build, the emotion in it. I've always loved singing that song in the car
Mm,
at the top of my voice,
yeah.
hurling
Yeah.
down the road. Fantastic song. Yeah, couldn't really say anything more about that song really.
I think that's one of the
Great
things
track.
about the album. It's absolutely timeless. Like it's so well written and produced and recorded. Like it could have come out yesterday if you hear it for the first time. You would never know it's almost
Yeah,
20
yeah,
years
yeah,
old. Do you know what I mean? Like 30
yeah,
years old now.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd have no idea. I was reading up a little bit the other day because that song was co-written by Gary Lucas, for people who are not aware.
Yes.
And that was I always felt like I didn't know much about him, and I just felt like he sort of chanced upon Jeff as an organizer of the Tim Buckley tribute at the St. Anne's Church. I can't remember.
St.
Maybe he
Anne's
was
Church in New York.
St. Anne's
Yeah,
Church. Yeah,
yeah.
New York.
Put
Yeah.
on by
Um,
Hal. Put on by Hal Wilner.
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I always felt like he just sort of lucked out a bit and was sort of piggybacking off the back of Jeff's talent a little bit. And then I read up on him and I found out who he's worked with and what he was doing before. And I was like, Jesus, how have I not heard of this geezer? Like,
yeah.
he was in Captain Beefheart's band.
That's
Like,
right.
he's
Yeah,
recorded with Iggy Pop and like
yeah.
all sorts of
Jeff was
people.
Jeff was a huge Jeff was a huge Beefheart fan as well, which I think that
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
attraction to work together. I
Mm,
think as well.
mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. I played Heaven or Las Vegas Cocktail Twins on the show the other week, and obviously Elizabeth Fraser and Jeff Buckley were an item for a while, and I just like
yeah.
supposed like out loud while after the track like what a collaboration that would have been like if they would have like put an album out together, or even a duet, like even a couple of songs or
Yeah.
an EP, like that would have been amazing.
I was just going to say, a lot of people don't realise with Elizabeth Fraser that he was actually, before he even met her, he was obsessed with
Mm,
their band, and he actually, if you
yeah,
listen to
yeah,
the way he sings, he's very influenced by her singing.
yeah.
I know you obviously can hear Nina Simone in his voice and a lot of other people, but if you listen really carefully, sometimes you can hear some of the weird expressions that he does. She used to do a lot,
Mm,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
quite interesting that actually. Yeah,
She was a massive Tim Buckley fan as well. I think she covered
that's
the
right.
song to the Siren as well on one of their
Yeah, that's
records.
it.
I always think when musicians sort of pass away, especially as young as they did, when Jeff Buckley, as young as he was, like what I wonder a lot, like what they would have done, like with their career and the collaborations they could have made, and
Mm.
what sort of records and what their music would sound like now. And yeah, it's all part of the tragedy, I think. Now, when I looked at your list of songs that you sent me, I was very surprised to not see a Soundgarden slash Chris Cornell track in there. And then I saw the
Yeah,
Alice in Chains track, and I thought, oh no, he slipped it in. He slipped it
he's
in
in there.
subtly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. So
he's in
so
there.
track three, Tom, is a song that is a little bit obscure, a bit left field, an album track or a B side. So what have we gone with, mate?
So yeah, I went with, as I said, there's an album called Sap from Alice in Chains, which is, I believe it was a B-side album, and it was on the back of Jar of Flies by Alice in Chains, and
I
you had
think
Jar
it's an
of
EP.
Flies.
It's a mostly
Yeah,
acoustic sort of EP, I think.
they
Yeah,
both
yeah,
came
yeah.
out together, and I think
Mm,
Sap was I think it was a B-side album, or it was, yeah, but yeah, the song on there, right turn, which has got Alison Hart from Heart doing
yeah,
backing as well, and Chris
yeah,
Cornell,
yeah,
and Mark Arm from Mudhoney as
yeah,
well
yeah,
in there, and then obviously
yeah,
Jerry Cantrell and Mark Lane Staley as well. But
yeah.
yeah, it's a great song, and I love. Yeah, I did think that, and I thought I could put that track in. I was looking for a B side, and I thought I can put a B side in and get Chris in there as well, because he comes in at the end on the last
Yeah, he
chorus.
does. Honestly,
Absolutely
that
blows
the,
everyone
the
away.
way the way he comes in at the end of that track is
Oh
just
mate,
like,
yeah,
yeah, you just must have been looking at him going, like, yeah, it just
yeah,
comes in
yeah,
with so much power, and yeah, like you say, he just blows everyone away at the end of that track, like it's unreal.
yeah.
Track number four, I asked you to pick a track, Tom, that you wish you could have played to your 18-year-old self. And what track did you go with, mate?
So yeah, this is another solo artist who's sort of quite new and up and coming. He's just done his second album, but he's probably only really been around for a few years. He's a Belgian, half Belgian, half Egyptian artist called Tamino.
Mhm.
And it's a song called Habibi, which was his sort of breakthrough single from his first album, which is just absolutely stunning. Very Buckley-esque, gets kind of
Yeah,
compared to Buckley
absolutely.
a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah,
But yeah, great song. I think he won a local Belgian sort of song competition with that song, and then he got signed, and then he wrote an album, and just absolutely stunning vocals, beautiful, absolutely beautiful song. Um,
yeah. Someone you tipped me off to a couple of months ago as someone like you think I would be into, and I was onto it straight away. And like the Buckley comparison is just unbelievable. Like
yeah,
you always get that like sort of oh, it's a new Jeff Buckley, it's a new Jeff Buckley, but like he's the real
yeah,
deal. Like
he is.
yeah, yeah,
I've been to see
yeah.
him twice. I went to see him at Coco in London, and you know, especially nowadays, you go to a lot of gigs, and a lot of people talk in between songs, and
Mm,
it's
yeah,
it's
yeah,
very sort of, when you go and see him, literally you can hear a pin drop, and
yeah.
everyone in the room is kind of all different ages, different, the demographic who
Yeah.
listen to his music
Mm,
is all over the place as well. It's and he's got a very sort of almost like a cult following,
mm,
and he doesn't kind of, he tends to not stick to the rules. Like his singles are like 6.5 minutes long, and
mm.
very radio friendly, non sort of commercial
Yeah, yeah.
music, but just beautiful music that's written really well. And he's still selling out tours all over the place. He's just done an American tour.
Mm.
Yeah, really, really, really good.
I saw and it
It's really
shouldn't really
refreshing
be
to see that.
it shouldn't really be a measure of an artist, but it kind of is in this day and age. But I'd never heard of him until you mentioned him to me, and then I followed him on Instagram. He's got like 300,000 or 400,000 Instagram followers or something. And I was like, have I never heard of this bloke? Like, he's
Yeah,
obviously like blowing up massive, and yeah. But that's one of
yeah,
the downsides of living in Australia, mate.
yeah.
You don't always get the latest. I'm sure I would have been onto him. Are you going to see him in August? I saw on his website he's playing in London in August.
Yeah,
Um,
I might do. I think I might be on holiday, but I'll see if I can. I often don't go and see artists I really like at festivals just because of the sound,
yeah,
and the
yeah,
atmosphere. Always,
yeah,
I prefer going to sort of see him in a.
yeah,
He's still playing like sort of 2,000 cap venues as well, like the
yeah,
Astoria, that sort of
yeah,
size venue.
yeah.
I love
All
it.
Points West, I think it is. Whereabouts is that? I don't know that one.
Yeah,
Is that a new one? All Points West.
yeah, I think it's one of those sort of 3 day things in London.
Ah, right, okay, yeah, yeah, right. I didn't
Um,
know that. I thought it was a venue. I don't know. I've been there for years, Tom, so I ain't got a clue, mate. What's going on now in the
yeah.
London music scene? I'm well out of it.
No.
All right, yeah. So Tamino and Habib, what are the name of his two albums? Just give them a shout out because they're well worth looking up.
His first album is called Amir,
Mm,
and yeah, his second album is Sahar, like Sahar,
yeah,
and his first album's Amir, which is Amir.
yeah, and it's Tamino, Tamino. I was looking
That's
at
it.
his merch store and I seen he's like vinyl's like really well priced. It was like I think for me it was like 47 Australian dollars for a record, which is really reasonable for a new artist. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be indulging my vinyl obsession there for sure. I'll get those two records, yeah, without a
Mm.
doubt. Okay, and on to the last track for the mixtape, Tom. And I asked you to pick a song that you would put on your mixtape to let the listener know that you're romantically interested. What did you go with, mate?
I went with the Doors, Love Street.
Hmm.
I don't know if you're a Doors fan, but yeah, huge Doors fan. But it was just the first thing that came to my head. And I think if you're trying to let someone know that you were romantically interested, I think
Mm.
that song kind of would do that. I think for me, that's
Mm.
just the first thing that came into my head.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, without being
I
too creepy.
I did look it up because I knew what album it was from, but I didn't know it that well. And it's obviously it's from Waiting for the Sun, and it was a B side I think to Hello I Love You, who I was reading earlier. So that was like that made perfect sense to me, like to put those two like tracks A side,
Mm.
B side, like Hello, I Love You and Love Street. They're both, I think, what's his girlfriend's name that he writes all these songs about? Meg Ryan, I
Yeah,
call her.
Cullen.
That's all I always picture her. I don't know why. Whenever I think of her, I see Meg Ryan, which is ridiculous, but yeah.
Yeah. I hate that film.
I
I
know.
used to I've watched that film a lot, but it's like I think it's the most awful portrayal of Jim Morrison. I think he obviously plays him really well, and he kind of looked a lot like him. But
Yeah.
I think that Oliver Stone went way over the top with
It's
what he was like.
massively sensationalized and I think they
Yeah,
really focus on the excesses and the apocryphal tales and the mythology
yeah,
around him and the band rather than the music and the creative process and all that other
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, it's a ridiculous film. I've never spoken to anyone who's ever said to me, "Oh, do you know what, geezer? That's a great movie." Everyone pans it, don't they? Every single person you
Yeah.
talk to goes, "Oh, what a load of
Do you
rubbish!"
know
Like,
what? It's quite a fun film to watch,
yeah, it
but
is. Yeah, if
as
you
a
don't think it's
but as
about a real band, yeah,
yeah, but as an actual account of someone's life, I think I think it's probably time they made a new one. Do
yeah,
you know what I
no,
mean?
for sure. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
because
absolutely. Talking about movies, just jumping back to Jeff Buckley a minute. Have you seen?
do you know what? I know what you're going to say, and there is a film out, isn't there? And it's
Yeah,
kind of about
um,
him. Greetings from
um,
Tim Buckley, a true
Greetings
story,
from
I
Jeff
think it's
Buckley. Yeah,
called.
so it was basically follows his life and career up to and including the Tim Buckley tribute at St Anne's Church. Um,
Ah, right.
and
Okay.
because obviously Mary Gilbert, if for people who are not aware, that's Jeff's mum who's in control of his estate and
Yeah,
his music publishing. She's obviously got a biopic in the making that's been in the works for donkey's years. That the
yeah.
likes of you and I have been absolutely chomping at the bit to get and see because it'll be an amazing movie when it does eventually come out.
Hmm.
But obviously she's got the publishing for all his songs and she refused to allow any of his songs to be used in this movie. So it's all
Right.
um, it's just there's not much music in it, and the music that is in it
Yeah,
is Tim Buckley's songs, and that's sort of the reason why they've geared the movie sort of plot line and story around that concert, is because it just goes up to and
yeah,
including that, and it doesn't go any
yeah.
further. Sort of when he breaks through, I think who's the girl? Is it Elizabeth? No, it's not Elizabeth Fraser. It's some other girl who he was with, but Kate
Rebecca
Nash.
Moore.
Yeah, that's
Rebecca
Kate
Moore, I think, was
Nash,
his girlfriend
the
at the time.
the UK singer songwriter, plays her in it.
Oh, okay.
Um, and the one bit of casting that I thought was genius. I can't remember who he is now, but off the top of my head. But the guy who plays Gary Lucas looks bang like him. Like he's just like straight away. As soon as he walks in the room,
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
"Oh, there's Gary Lucas." Yeah, straight away. Yeah, greetings,
Massive
greetings
credit.
from
Yeah,
greetings from Tim Buckley. Yeah, if you're a Jeff
yeah.
Buckley or a Tim Buckley fan, that's well worth a watch.
I was just gonna say, there's a lot of kickback around his mum. I actually met Jeff Buckley's mum at a Jeff Buckley tribute in
mm,
Manchester. We
yeah,
played at the Ruby Lounge, and yeah, that was an interesting experience. But there's been a lot of negativity towards her. I think since, there's various things she's done with his estate, and you know, putting stuff out that, although as fans we all love to hear, I don't think he would have wanted people to listen to. And that You and I album, which is literally like scraping the barrel of any last dregs of anything that he ever
yeah,
recorded, whether it
yeah,
be a 2-minute rough demo or an idea that
mm,
he was trying to get out,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
think it's it's a bit weird.
Did you ever hear the story of how he came to be playing at Chennai? How he got the gig there?
No, I knew he was obviously he was living in Manhattan, wasn't he, in that
Yeah,
area,
so
Greenwich
I was
Village.
watching
And
I was watching an interview with do you know Glenn Hansard from the Frames? Do you know him?
I was just going to say that, yeah,
Yeah,
he had a
yeah.
friend
So
called Tom Clark who was playing there. Glenn Hansard had a friend called Tom Clark who used to play there and he nicked his spot, didn't he? I think, or
yeah, so
was
what
he?
happened was the guy Glenn Hansard was touring with the Commitments because he played
Mm,
Outspan in the Commitments movie when he was a young man, and he was friends with the owner of Chennai, and
yeah,
Jeff Buckley was his roadie, was Glenn Hansard's roadie on that
yes,
tour,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
and he said to Glenn Hansard, "Oh, while you're in town, do you want to come down to my little coffee shop and play a set?" And he's like, "Oh, I can't really do it. I'm knackered. I'm tired. I don't really fancy it. But my roadie, he's mint. He'll come down and play for you." And
yeah,
that was how he got the gig at
yeah,
Chennai.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, unreal. I had no idea that he was. I knew Jeff Buckley was sort of in and around sort of music
Yeah.
scene before he broke through and started playing at Sinead, but I didn't know he was Glenn Hansard's
Mm.
roadie. Yeah, yeah, I love that
Weird,
story. It's awesome.
weirdly, just to add to that, he tail off on that. He like going back to the Tom Clark thing, which is obviously weird because my name's Tom Clark, but
Yeah,
a guy called Tom Clark had a regular slot there. That night he wasn't, he was ill. And Jeff,
mm.
that night that you were on about, I think he went in, and then Tom Clark came back and was like, "Oh, you've nicked my Thursday spot," because they wanted him in there every week afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it.
Like,
Yeah,
but he was
yeah,
like, I had to hold my hands up and just be like, "Look, I understand."
yeah. No,
Obviously
fair enough.
understand.
You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
exactly.
really wanted to get to Chennai at some point, but I think it's closed down now. I think it did
Yeah,
reopen at some point, but I think
it's a
it's all
grocery
closed down now.
store.
Yeah, it's a bit of a
Yeah.
shame, isn't it? You think somewhere like that with that much like significance would be sort of preserved a
Mm.
little bit, but it's New York, isn't it? They don't give a monkeys about that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. On that note, we'll close it up there. Thanks very much for coming on the podcast, Tom. Really appreciate your time coming on. Good luck with
No
the EP
worries.
and everything else, mate. Hope it all goes well.
Yeah, no worries, man.
That was the Mixtape podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to jump up to the top of the page and smash that follow button, and you'll be notified every time there's a new episode. Or follow me on Instagram at the Mixtape Perf. Till the next time.